Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our session today. I'm excited to introduce our topic, Unit 1, Connected by Technology. Today, we'll explore how technology connects us all. We'll also look at some key ideas around this theme and have a chance to listen and discuss together. So, let's get started and see what's in store for us. Today, we're focusing on some key lesson objectives that will help us navigate online communication more effectively. First, we'll look at some popular apps that people use to contact others. These tools are essential for staying connected in today's digital world. Then, we'll learn how to find important details from a person's internet profile, which is a useful skill for understanding more about the person behind the screen. Next, we'll practice matching personality actions with the right person, helping us better interpret online behaviors. Finally, we'll decide which person each proverb describes best, encouraging us to think critically about the messages we see online and how they relate to real-life personalities. These objectives are all connected to our broader theme of building responsible and meaningful online interactions. Now, let's start with a simple question. How do you communicate with your friends when you're not at school? This is an important part of our daily lives because staying connected helps us maintain our friendships and share our experiences. You might use different methods like texting, making phone calls, or even chatting through social media platforms. Each of these ways has its own advantages and challenges, but the key is to find what works best for you and your friends. By understanding how we communicate outside of school, we can see how technology influences our relationships and how it plays a role in our overall communication skills. So, think about your own methods. What do you use most often to stay in touch? This will help us explore the importance of effective communication and how it shapes our social lives beyond the classroom. All right, let's start with a quick warm-up. Can you think of some means of communication that involve technology? Think about the different ways we connect with others today. For example, we have smartphones, which allow us to call and message instantly. Then there are emails, which are essential for formal and professional communication. Don't forget social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which help us share information and stay connected globally. We also have video conferencing tools like Zoom and Teams, which have become crucial for remote work and virtual meetings. All of these are examples of how technology has transformed the way we communicate, making it faster and more accessible than ever before. As we move through this presentation, keep in mind how these tools are shaping our everyday interactions and the way information flows in our society. Let's take a moment to reflect on how we communicated with our teachers during the Corona crisis. How did you reach out to your teachers to get your lessons? Did you use emails, messaging apps, or maybe online platforms? This was a time when traditional face-to-face communication wasn't possible, so we had to adapt quickly. It's important to recognize that this shift to digital communication was a key part of staying connected and continuing our education. By understanding these methods, we can appreciate the role of technology in maintaining the learning process during challenging times. And this also ties into the overall theme of how resilience and adaptability are crucial in education. Let's take a moment to really listen. Listening is often overlooked, but it's a crucial skill in effective communication. When we listen attentively, we not only understand the words being said, but also the underlying emotions and intentions. This helps us build stronger connections and respond more thoughtfully. Remember, listening actively means giving our full attention, avoiding interruptions, and really trying to understand the speaker's perspective. By honing our listening skills, we enhance our ability to collaborate, solve problems, and foster trust. So, as we move forward, keep in mind that listening is not just passive hearing. It's an active, deliberate practice that can transform how we interact and lead. So let's take a closer look at these characters. How many characters are there? Well, typically when we talk about these symbols, we're referring to three main characters. What are these called? They are called icons or symbols that represent different things online. Now, where do you see these kinds of characters? Usually, you come across them in internet profiles, especially on social networking sites. For example, when you're browsing a social media platform, these symbols help you identify friends, followers, or even different types of content. Understanding these characters is important because they are a key part of how we communicate and identify ourselves in digital spaces. They connect directly to the overall theme of how we present ourselves and interact online. Who is he? Where is he from? He is Faisal al-Harbi. From Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. Listen and answer. As we explore this part of the presentation, I want you to focus on understanding who Faisal is and where he comes from. Knowing his background helps us see the broader context of his experiences and insights. Faisal is from Jeddah, a major city in Saudi Arabia, which is known for its rich culture and economic significance. This connection to Jeddah and Saudi Arabia gives us a sense of his cultural roots and perspective. So, as we proceed, keep these details in mind because they are key to understanding his story and the overall theme of this presentation. Now let's take a closer look at this slide. The question is, what is his name? And the answer is Luck Mitchell. Remember this name as it might come up again later. Next, we ask, how old is he? The answer is 17, so he's quite young but already making an impression. This slide is designed to draw your attention to key details about Luck Mitchell. It's important because understanding who he is and his age helps us connect better with his story or achievements, which ties into our overall theme of recognizing emerging talents or important figures at a young age. Now, I want you to listen carefully and be ready to answer these questions. This will help reinforce your understanding as we continue. Let's start with a simple question. What is his name? The answer is Ahmed Al-Ali. Now, moving on to the next point, does he live in Jeddah? Actually, no, he doesn't. He lives in Dammam instead. So, as you listen to these details, try to remember how these pieces of information help us understand his background and location. This kind of personal detail is important because it connects to the bigger picture of regional differences and where people are based. Now, I'll ask you to listen carefully and answer these questions as we go along. Let's take a closer look at how we can analyze a person's reading time and personality. For each individual, it's important to identify two key details about their reading habits, perhaps how quickly they read or how much time they dedicate to reading each day. These details can reveal a lot about their interests and priorities. Next, we want to list 3 or 4 words or phrases that describe their personality. Think about traits like being curious, disciplined, outgoing, or thoughtful. These descriptors help us understand who they are beyond just their habits. In this slide, the goal is to gather these details to paint a fuller picture of each person. By doing this, we connect their reading behavior and personality traits back to the overall theme of understanding individual differences. Remember, the core idea is that how people read and how they describe themselves can tell us a lot about their motivations and character. When I think about spontaneity, I see it as a key trait that brings energy and authenticity to any situation. Spontaneous people tend to act quickly and instinctively, which often leads to creative solutions and genuine interactions. They're not afraid to embrace the moment and adapt on the fly. Another important aspect is that they like to set challenges. This means they're not content with the status quo. Instead, they thrive on pushing boundaries and encouraging growth, whether for themselves or others. Setting challenges keeps things dynamic and helps everyone stay engaged and motivated. Being straightforward is also a defining characteristic. It's about clear, honest communication without unnecessary fluff. Straightforward individuals value transparency and tend to be direct, which helps build trust and reduces misunderstandings. When you combine these traits, spontaneity, a love for challenges, and straightforwardness, you create a powerful recipe for leadership and collaboration. These qualities help foster an environment where ideas flow freely, obstacles are met head-on, and relationships are built on honesty. In the context of our overall theme, these traits are essential because they drive innovation, encourage resilience, and promote authentic connections. Embracing spontaneity and straightforwardness allows us to be more agile and genuine in our interactions. So when it comes to my personality, I'd say I'm obsessed with technology. I love exploring new gadgets, apps, and innovations. It's really a passion of mine that keeps me engaged and always learning. But at the same time, I'm not a loner. I really enjoy connecting with others, sharing ideas, and collaborating, which helps keep things balanced. People often find me funny, which I think is an important trait. Being able to bring some humor into everyday situations makes interactions more enjoyable. And I'm pretty laid back, too. I don't get stressed easily, and I like to take things slow and steady, which helps me stay grounded and approachable. All of these qualities tie into the overall theme of embracing who I am, being curious about technology, valuing relationships, having a good sense of humor, and staying relaxed. It's about staying authentic and using these traits to grow both personally and professionally. So when I describe myself as down to earth, I mean I like to keep things simple and authentic. I believe being genuine really helps build trust and strong connections. I also love being outdoors. There's something about nature that keeps me grounded and energized. It's a great way to clear my mind and find inspiration. Being a good listener is another key part of who I am. I really value hearing others' perspectives and understanding their experiences. It's an essential skill that helps me connect better and collaborate more effectively. Overall, these qualities, staying grounded, enjoying the outdoors, and listening well, are all about staying true to myself and creating meaningful relationships. They support the broader theme of authenticity and connection that runs through everything I do. All right, let's look at this phrase. Be plugged in. Now, this can actually have a couple of different meanings depending on the context. The first meaning, and perhaps the most common, is to be connected to someone or to be in touch with someone. For example, when you're plugged in with your team, you're connected and aware of what's going on. The second meaning is more about being aware or understanding a situation, like being plugged into the latest news or trends. Now, on this slide, we've matched be plugged in with the meaning to be connected to someone. It's a useful phrase, especially in professional or social contexts, to express that you're engaged or in communication with others. It's important to recognize these different nuances because, depending on how you use it, be plugged in can also imply being well-informed or up-to-date. Remember, understanding these phrases helps us communicate more effectively and connect better with others, which ties into our overall theme of effective communication skills. Let's talk about the power of humor and emotional connection in communication. First, we have make people laugh. This is about using humor to engage your audience, break the ice, and create a positive atmosphere. When people laugh, they feel more connected to you and to each other. Next is to be connected to someone, which emphasizes the importance of building genuine relationships. Whether it's through shared stories or empathy, connection makes your message resonate more deeply. Then there's make people cry, which might sound surprising, but it highlights the impact of emotional storytelling. Sometimes, evoking tears can lead to greater understanding and empathy. Following that, we have crack people up, a casual way of saying making people laugh in a lively, spontaneous way. All these points are realistic and practical because incorporating humor and emotional appeal into your communication is achievable with intentional effort. Now, the correct answer here is about matching words with their suitable meanings. Understanding these concepts helps us see how humor and emotional connection are vital tools in effective communication. They allow us to entertain, empathize, and truly connect with our audiences. All right, let's take a moment to look at this slide titled Lighten Up. What does it mean to lighten up? Well, in this context, it's about matching words to their suitable meanings. For example, when we say make people laugh, we're talking about humor and bringing joy to others. Then, there's not to be serious, which refers to a more relaxed, easygoing attitude. Next, realistic and practical is about being sensible and grounded in reality. Lastly, to be connected to someone highlights the importance of relationships and staying in touch. The key idea here is understanding the different meanings behind similar words so we can communicate more effectively. This ties into our overall theme of improving how we connect and interact with others by choosing the right words for the right situations. Now, let's look at some qualities that truly resonate with people. When we say realistic and practical, we're talking about being grounded and approachable. It's important to be connected to someone on a genuine level, which helps build trust and rapport. Making people laugh is also a powerful tool. It lightens the mood and creates a sense of camaraderie. Being down to earth means staying humble and relatable, which makes others feel comfortable around us. And again, making people laugh isn't just fun. It's a way to foster connection and ease tension. So, in essence, these qualities help us build authentic relationships. Now, let's move on to matching these words with their suitable meanings so we can better understand how to apply these traits effectively. Let's take a closer look at understanding the problem. On this slide, you'll notice the names Luke, Ahmed, and Faisal appearing in different sequences. This represents how different team members or stakeholders see the issue from their unique perspectives. By acknowledging these varied viewpoints, we can better grasp the complexity of the problem. It's important to recognize that each person's experience and insight contribute to a more comprehensive understanding. This diversity in perspectives is actually a strength. It allows us to identify gaps, uncover underlying causes, and develop more effective solutions. Connecting this to our overall goal, understanding these differences helps us approach the problem more holistically, ensuring that our strategies are inclusive and well-informed. So, the key takeaway here is that truly understanding the problem requires listening to all voices involved, much like how Luke, Ahmed, and Faisal each bring their unique insights to the table. A proverb is a short sentence that gives advice or expresses some common truth. It's like a little piece of wisdom that many people have shared across generations. When you hear a proverb, it often carries a message that's easy to remember and applies to everyday life. So, what exactly is the meaning of proverb? Well, it's essentially a concise way of sharing knowledge or insights about life, often reflecting cultural values or common experiences. As Faisal, Ahmad, Luke, and I will discuss, proverbs are powerful because they connect us through shared understanding and help us learn from the collective wisdom of others. Remember, they're not just words, they're messages meant to guide us and remind us of universal truths. Let's look at some examples of proverbs. Proverbs are short, pithy sayings that carry wisdom and cultural values. They often use metaphor or vivid imagery to convey important life lessons. For example, you might have heard the saying, "A penny saved is a penny earned," which emphasizes the value of thrift and saving. Another common proverb is "better late than never," reminding us that it's better to do something late than not at all. These sayings are powerful because they stick with us and are easy to remember. They also reflect the collective experience and beliefs of a culture. Recognizing these proverbs helps us understand the underlying values and priorities of different communities. Throughout this presentation, we've seen how proverbs serve as a window into cultural identity and shared wisdom. So, paying attention to these sayings can really enrich our understanding of the people and traditions we're studying. Now, let's take a moment to match these common proverbs with their corresponding pictures. The first one, "Laughter is the best medicine," reminds us of the healing power of humor and positivity. It highlights how a good laugh can lift our spirits and even improve our health. Next, we have "better late than never," which emphasizes the importance of taking action, even if it's delayed. Sometimes, it's better to do something late than not at all, encouraging patience and perseverance. Then there's "honesty is the best policy." This is a fundamental value, reminding us that being truthful and transparent is always the right choice, fostering trust and integrity in our relationships. Notice that "better late than never" and "honesty is the best policy" are repeated, reinforcing their significance. Finally, "laughter is the best medicine" is split into two parts here, emphasizing its importance once again. Overall, these proverbs are about values and attitudes that can positively influence our lives and interactions. Connecting this back to our theme, they remind us that wisdom, patience, honesty, and humor are key ingredients for a fulfilling and respectful life. Now it's time to get hands-on and write your own profile. This is your chance to apply everything we've discussed so far. Think about what makes you unique, your skills, your experiences, your passions. When you craft your profile, aim to be clear and authentic. Remember, a well-written profile not only highlights your strengths, but also connects with your audience. This activity ties back to our overall goal of effective communication and personal branding. So, take your time, be thoughtful, and make sure your profile truly reflects who you are. All right, for your homework, I'd like you to focus on the workbook exercises, specifically parts A and B on page 217. These exercises are designed to reinforce what we've covered today and help you apply those concepts practically. Take your time to work through each question carefully, and don't rush. Really think about how the ideas connect to what we've discussed. Remember, completing these exercises will not only solidify your understanding, but also prepare you for our next steps. So, when you're ready, dive into the workbook on page 217, and I look forward to seeing your progress next time.